Good evening, and welcome to the school committee meeting of December 11th, 2024. Members of the public may listen and watch the school committee meeting via live stream at www.sandwich.org and the Sandwich Community TV Education Channel 8. We'll start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, first up is the first public forum of the evening. Would anybody like to be heard at public forum? I don't see anyone, so we will close the public forum, the first public forum. Next item is review and act on the meeting minutes of the regular business meeting dated November 20, 2024. Have a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes of our regular business meeting of November 20th, 2024, as presented.
Second.
Second by Danielle. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. What are we, 5 tonight? We are 5 tonight. Next up, correspondence and announcements. I do not have any. Any other correspondence or announcements? And next up is superintendent's report.
All right, good evening, everybody. Just a couple quick items for your consideration this evening. I just put this as a kind of a bookmark in your cerebrums as we will start budget season next month. Actually, our next meeting, January 8th, will be our first series of budget presentations. And I know in years past, at least during my 3 tenure, we've kind of featured at the end of August and early September the Summer Scholars Program, and over the last couple of years, the Ride the Wave into Kindergarten program. You've probably seen in the media the fact that by September 30th, the last strand of COVID funding, known as the ESSER III funds, had to be expended. And I think you see headlines like this where a lot of districts across the country, and particularly here in the Commonwealth, are kind of falling off a fiscal cliff because, unfortunately, they invested a lot of those funds into staffing. I think wisely, this district has not taken that approach other than, kind of that immediate crisis year of 2021. We've used them for a lot of capital expenditures, as you know, for things like playground, for some of the HVAC upgrades. But I do want to remind you that we have, over the last 4 years, thank you, Jen, have used that funding for the Summer Scholars and the Ride the Wave into Kindergarten program. Just as a reminder, these are the kiddos that have been served. Just this year alone, I believe we had a grand total of 169 kids in the Summer Scholars Program. We had 79 of the incoming kindergartners, which kind of represents about 60% or so, come in for these programs. Coupled with the conversation that we've had about middle school retention and so on, I think having these type of summer programming is critical to have moving forward. So keep in mind we've allocated strictly ESSER III funds for these. So this will be moving into the operational budget. I've asked Jen to kind of estimate where it'll be coming in as a line item. We're estimating, based upon this year's expenses, it'll be approximately $65,000. I think that in a $40 million budget is obviously a very small percentage, but it's a super, super wise investment. So I kind of just, and I know we've discussed this extensively, I feel, not to speak for you, that you're kind of in concurrence with my viewpoint, but I just wanted to kind of say this as kind of a coming attraction, so to speak. Any questions on that?
No questions and fully support the program. What I think would be helpful is, and I think I mentioned this last year, is if we could have a report early fall in terms of quantitatively, anecdotively, hard data, what you're seeing in terms of student growth, given that program.
Absolutely, yeah, and to track these kids longitudinally, because now we have at least 4 years' worth of data on the summer scholars kids. Okay? Second piece, this is also just kind of a reminder, and we've kind of been discussing this for some time, and I think I put a link to the state reg in the background notes, but we do have 5 students that are ready to go with regard to the school committee's student advisory committee. I'm sure they would be delighted to meet with all of you guys and at a minimum kind of have a introductory kind of meet and greet and think about topics or agendas or whatever. I'm just putting out there for your consumption and deliberation. We could conceivably think about snaring one of those valuable pre-meeting slots of 5 o'clock, either on January 8th or January 15th, because we know we will have those meetings, or on the 29th. And then we also have the meeting, at least in our calendar, of the 22nd, which I know over the last 2 years we haven't had to use that date, even though it's in the calendar, because we were able to get through the budget presentations in just 2 meetings. So I put that for your consideration. More than happy to work with Sue to develop an agenda, to work with all of you, just for some type of framework, but just as kind of like a placeholder. Sue is continuing Kevin's tradition of kind of following that calendar and seeing what we have in place as far as, you know, in crafting the agenda. And it's one of those pieces that's popped up like, yeah, we really got to get to that. So I put that out there.
Joe, how do we handle this from open meeting, public? Is that a posted meeting?
Yeah, we will have to post it because you'll have, I'm assuming we'll have a quorum of the school committee.
And my sense is the students would not be hesitant to share what they really think.
You will find that the students that will be moving forward, similar, well, Shreya's one of them, are of that type of personality.
I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
I like the 5 o'clock idea,
Yeah.
and so it's like a separate agenda. There, you know, as exciting as all these other pieces are, not having to have them make it all about them, that we can hear from them and they don't have to muddle through all the rest of the regular business.
Sure.
If we can make that, if that works for other people's schedule,
Absolutely.
you know,
Works for
I
everyone?
just had a quick question.
I'll buy the pizza.
Yeah, food.
Oh, okay.
That was important.
We'll take note of that. Okay, yeah. The 5 students that are on it, are they all different grades? So we
They
have
are different
kids-
grades.
So we have kids to kind
But
of
they are all of high school age.
school age. Okay, so that's not 5 seniors that we're going to be
No.
schooling for next year.
Nope.
Okay, perfect.
And actually, of the 5, Shreya was elected to, again, be our representative.
Do we want to propose a date now? 8th, we're just getting back from break. How about the 29th? We should be,
Yeah, and that'll be, for the most part, a very regular school committee meeting with regular business. And keep in mind, we have that slot, what we define at like 6:20 or 6:30 to be the budget forum. So I think that works, and that gives us a ton of lead time.
Any Wednesday but the 8th would work for me.
So we will say January 29th at 5 p.m. Excellent. And then last but not least, Michelle has an update on the status of the FY25 operational budget.
Good evening. You have the November report in front of you. We're still doing very well. The area of most concern is probably the special ed area. We still have more and more kids coming into the district. Most of them need to be transported, and we're having some problems, finding enough buses for the routes to transport these kids. We still have about $700,000 of circuit breaker to go, so don't worry about that negative under special ed. Everything else is fine. The only other thing I would watch out for is utility prices going into the winter. I'm noticing gas is astronomical right now. If we haven't locked in, we may have some issues. But other than that, I think we're pretty good in most areas of the budget. Any questions?
With the special ed, did you say we have more students coming into the district?
More students coming into the district, and also existing children needing to be transported.
Oh, okay.
So,
More students coming into the district, we wouldn't transport them, right? Their home district would transport them?
no, if they move to Sandwich and their special needs, then we would have to transport them.
Okay, I was thinking they were coming from another community. Okay.
No, no.
Yeah, okay.
No, if that happens, sometimes we'll work out a deal
Deal,
where
right.
they drive one way, we drive another. And Tammy can usually figure that one out, but we have more kids that have special needs that they're unable to take the yellow buses, so.
Right. Those smaller, the purchase of the smaller minivan type things, type vehicles have, they've worked out really well.
They are working out well and they're easily obtainable,
Yes.
except we
that's the
do
key.
need, we are looking for another wheelchair van.
Caravan, yeah.
And those are the big utility vans and they're very hard to find.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes
Making
it's like
progress.
a year wait for them.
Yeah. Thanks, Michelle.
And that's the report.
That's it. Thank you. Old business, bid results, Forestdale and Oak Ridge HVAC project.
Okay, so
George?
if Chris could come forward, please. But as I said in the background now, I'm sure all of you are cognizant that this was the third time that we've gone out for bid. I don't know if I want to use the old axiom, the third time's the charm, but I think there's good news and bad news. The good news is we did have bidders this time, as opposed to the first time, 2 times where we had 0 bidders. The bad news is both bids are substantially more than what was budgeted. So we're in a situation now where approximately $2.4 million was budgeted for the HVAC project at each at Forestdale and Oak Ridge, and our winning bid is a little under $5.2 million per each school. So as I said in the background notes, I think we're in a situation where we're going to have to make some decisions about this with the remaining approximately $7.7 million that we have between grant funding and the debt exclusion funds. So maybe if you could talk a little bit more about the bidding process and some of your insights, Chris, that would be helpful.
Yeah, so again, we put these out for the third time. 2 bidders. We came in at around $10 million for both buildings as a package. It's about $5 million, around 5.2, like Joe said, for each building. Originally, there was 2.6 per building. That's with the alternates, which is the library. We did the classrooms and the library, threw them all into one, hoping that we could get that done. But now looking at it and asking, we did reach out to the contractors, we reached out to other vendors and other towns to find out this is what the market is calling for right now. So this is not something that people are saying, wow, this is really happening, but this is what the cost of this stuff is becoming. So we reached out to both vendors and asked them, what their reasoning was coming in, and the labor charges are becoming astronomical. Materials we can get the equipment tomorrow if we want it. It's the labor that has to go into it and the timing. A lot of these people they bid out a lot of years out already. So that's what we're seeing. And they're kind of just throwing these bids out there. They're not really sharpening their pencils like we would hope they would do. They're kind of they're just giving you a number and saying, hope, let's, shoot from the hip. Now that knowing that there's only 2 bidders, they know that there's not a lot of bidders coming up, so they can throw these bigger numbers out. That's what we're seeing. I reached out to another company. They're gonna actually look at the bid specs. They're gonna look at everything to make sure we are doing the correct procurement and the correct bidding processes. So just to kind of, an overlay of, so we can make sure that we're doing everything right. So that's kind of where we stand with that. There are options that we can do. We can possibly do 1 school, because we have enough funding to do 1 school. And we have boiler projects that are still on the back burner, waiting to happen on both of them. Those are about, we just had those estimated, I had those estimated about $1.2 million apiece when the original was around $972. That's not considered, that's not that bad, but that's another $1.2 million for the boilers on top of this. So we're in the hole on the debt exclusion. As I've probably said since day one, that number was never gonna be, get it all done.
So the challenge is, we have 2 schools,
Yeah.
the same age, the same status. It kind of feels like King Solomon here. And is there any way that we could make some inroads in both schools this year and then finish up next year? Is that not practical?
No. Your best bet would be to do 1 HVA full thing package at 1, because you also want to look at your carbon footprint. Now, if we do 1 whole school HVAC and then 1 school boiler, we get a bigger carbon footprint. That would save us more money on the long run, because we get an 80% boiler on 1 building, and then we get the HVAC that's more efficient on the other building. So that's kind of the best case scenario if we could do it that way. But I'm not the one that's going to make that decision.
I know what you're getting at, but the mobilization, demobilization costs and everything
Correct.
else, it'd be far more
Just had to
expensive.
put it out there.
No,
I've gone over and, do I take out the alternate in the library and not do the library? But then we do the library in 2 years, and that's gonna cost twice as much because we have to have another contractor come in and do the library. And is it gonna be the same kind of computer system? I want all the computer systems to be the same.
Yeah.
So.
What do we do? Draw lots?
I would, and I'll plant my stake, I would probably, and I'm looking at Mr. D as I'm saying this, I still love you, Chris. He knows it's coming. I would advocate for Oak Ridge, and just strictly from an equity standpoint, we've done a lot of the projects first at Forestdale. The playground project, we did 2 playgrounds, the pre-K and so on. Again,
there's also more kids in the building.
there's more kids in the building. So that's
Still like you too, Chris, just so you know.
yeah, that's a great point, Kevin. So again, they're almost identical buildings and so on, but I think we hit the ground running quicker, and it wasn't anything deliberate with some of the projects at Forestdale versus Oak Ridge. And again, I'm just looking at it through an equity lens. The bodies are a little bit bigger, and
They're starting to sweat.
they're starting to sweat, and you might be getting into the prepubescent realm once you get into that grade 5, grade 6.
We have our nurse laughing about this now, too.
Yeah. Oh. Hi, Nikki. Nope. Yeah. I'm just a dopey chemistry teacher. What do I know?
We're not looking for a decision tonight, though. We're just,
Yeah.
this is just,
No, but I think, I think it's helpful to know that, we've been talking about this for some while. And again, good news, bad news. Good news, we do have bidders. But as we had projected, and I know to Chris's point, he's been saying this since day one, I think it was kind of the perfect storm that I think some of these projects were underestimated, but then also inflation skyrocketing, and the labor costs, and then the other layer of it having to go through public procurement and therefore the rates that you have to pay and so on, the labor rates and so on, has brought us to this place.
Awesome.
You mentioned getting another perspective. What's the timeline looking like for that?
I should have that in probably the next week or so.
Go ahead, Kaylee.
Is there, and as much as I hate to even suggest pushing this project out any further than it already has been, you had mentioned that the materials are not necessarily, I mean, inflation's everywhere, but the materials aren't really the issue. Is there anything to suggest in the forecasting that if we were to push this out another year, maybe even two, don't kill me, everyone, that we might be in less competition with other projects, we might get better labor costs, I just hate to see it double when, we're fighting for every dime to get these schools.
Right. Well, labor never goes down. It only goes up. And materials, they go up just as much. We're seeing materials across the board right now are kind of staying level because they, after COVID, it was a big hit. Nobody had anything. And now, so everything went up. And now they've produced enough that they have it readily available. So you're going to see them both go up, not at the massive percentage they did in 20 and 21, and actually 22, but they're starting to level out now. So we're getting more confident that the numbers are actually coming back in, that you're confident with your numbers when you go out. But these numbers that we had that were written probably 2019 for this debt exclusion, nobody saw what was coming.
Right.
So
you do think that this mostly has to do with labor cost and material cost, not just an overall, we don't really want to do this job, but we'll do it if
there is
for this.
there is a little bit of that factor out there too. There is that factor of, let's just throw it out there and see, let's see what sticks. You're seeing that across, everybody's seeing that. So you have to kind of weed through that.
Okay, thanks.
The labor cost is prevailing wage.
Yeah.
So that should be so it really comes down to how many billable hours they think it's going to take to do it.
Correct.
And that's what this person, company is going to take the pencil to, is to see if that's being padded.
Yeah, we'll look into that, because right now I feel like the numbers came in really high, and I don't like the idea when you break it down per square foot. It seems really high to me. So that's kind of why we looked at them and said, well, I want to bring somebody else in. I want to make sure that these numbers aren't being padded. And we've asked the contractors, like I said, we reached out to both of them, and they both said they had, figuring, because of the way this package is designed, there is it's more labor intensive than it is materials because of the way the ductwork has to run and taking down ceilings and going through classrooms and cutting across hallways and, so it's, there's no real way to shrink that down. It is what it is because of the way we have to get this done. Is there alternatives? We are looking in alternatives. I have a company looking into that. Rise Engineering we work with Cape Light Compact. We're looking into them. I gave them the set of plans for both buildings and every project we're doing, and they're actually looking to see if there's more of their products that they could use that would be incentivized, that we could plop in and pull something out that's already been in there that we can get a better incentive on. So we're looking for incentives too as we're doing this right now to see what we can get on a return on the end.
So I know you said you'll have better idea of a timeline after a bit. Is it conceivable for this total project to be completed at the end of FY '27?
So right now, the bids that we have out there are still open. We can still utilize those. So if we get a green light to go forward, we can pull the trigger and have this hopefully started this summer.
Okay.
How long does that process take once it's until completion?
Well, what we call these is summer slammers. So we're hoping we'd start when, properly right while school's ending and have it done before school starts.
Anything else? Bert?
If there are no questions on this, I have a question about his previous presentation.
Previous to what?
On the lights on the field. Mm-hmm. On the field. Did you get any money back from the steel that you that you took down?
I don't recall. I'll have to look into that information and get that for you, Bart.
That's kind of what you said to me last time.
Okay. All right.
So we'll wait and hear more.
Yep.
Yeah, just comment for everybody, I'm going to go back home and look at the whole sheet and look at, or maybe if you could resend it to us of what's done, what's not done, you know, because obviously.
Yeah, we shared that with the tri-board, and what I can do later this evening, I'll resend it.
They'll have it, yeah, but just to put at the top of the inbox would be very helpful to help frame the whole.
You want the financial piece, correct? Of what's been, original budget and what's expended, yeah.
Just to
Michelle updated it as of last week.
Just to widen the aperture. Thank you.
Not to state the obvious, but I will. This whole conversation started how many years ago? With boilers.
I mean, I've been here 2
We've
years.
done a lot of stuff, but we've yet to do HVAC and boilers.
Yeah.
Things don't get any cheaper.
No, but we're getting there.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. George.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for nothing.
Other topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair, I do not have any. Anybody have anything? No? Moving right along. Well, this is exciting. Presentation from the New England Mountain Bike Association by Mr. Frank Marola, President of the Cape Cod NEMBA, New England Mountain Bike Association.
So the illustrious gentlemen sitting in the back row probably are not strangers to us. I think you gentlemen were here probably about 18 months ago, maybe. If you recall, they had a presentation where they needed a vote of the school committee to approve kind of like a connector of a network of trails within our community. I had the opportunity, along with Chris George, to connect with them it was about a good 6 to 8 weeks ago, over a proposal that is in your packet to build a mountain bike trail for kids. It's not very large. It would be approximately about 12,500 square feet, in the ballpark of maybe about 1/10 of a mile in total. If you've had the opportunity to spend some quality time at the Maple Swamp Conservation Area, they have a very, very similar trail. I've had the opportunity to kind of walk the kids' trail with these gentlemen. I think this is just a terrific opportunity for our community, for our students, and so on. So I'm kind of teeing it up for you, Frank. Please.
Just, and as he preps, could you maybe pull up the presentation so folks can see it?
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Frank Marola. I'm the president of Cape Cod NEMBA. NEMBA stands for New England Mountain Bike Association. We're one of 30 chapters. Cape Cod is a chapter. Martha's Vineyard is a chapter. New Hampshire, Vermont, there's 30 of us. I'm a volunteer for NEMBA. It's not my full-time job. I have a full-time job and a family, so NEMBA to me it's a volunteer position. Sometimes it feels like a full-time job, but we put a lot of effort into it. We have a lot of help, as you can see. A couple of different vice presidents, and the proposal outlines that. So we're very, very involved with outdoor recreation. So one of our proudest accomplishments is we have a program with Sandwich Recreation. It's run in the spring and the fall, and it's called Introduction to Mountain Biking, and it's for 8 to 13-year-olds. And you'll see us outside of Oak Ridge School. That's where we gather. And we provide all the volunteer ride leaders for Sandwich Rec. And we instruct the kids on, how to get outside and how to enjoy the trails, respect the trails. And we do that twice a year with them. We also rent out Oak Ridge School every April. We have about 100 riders from all over New England come down and ride the trails behind the school, as well as in Sandwich Conservation. And one of the things that we're asking for is permission to install a trail or a pump track. And I'd like you to think of this, instead of us asking to do this is something that we'd like to give to the school, give to everybody on Cape Cod, because there's nothing like this on Cape Cod. But primarily, the main benefactors would be the kids that go to Oak Ridge School, the residents of Sandwich, as well as, other people that live on Cape Cod that could access it. It's in a postage stamp size property near the parking lot. As you can see, that's outlined in blue. And basically, if you don't know what a pump track is it's just a trail that's in the woods that takes advantage of some natural features. And instead of doing a lot of pedaling, the word pump means you can go over small little rollers, and you can use your shoulders and your arms and sort of not have to pedal so much. And to make it fun and interesting, the kids are always looking for small little jumps and things to play around on. There would be some small dirt rollers. There would be some dirt berms to teach balance. There could be some small little wooden bridges and some other things where people could practice balance, practice their skills. And I think it's a great way for the kids and the parents to come out and get off the devices and enjoy some time outside. And we would also take care of all of the signage and the build-out. And I know the topic of budget came up earlier. There would be a cost to do this, and it would be 100% borne by us. We're very financially solid. We have many events that bring in revenue to us. We have grants that come to us. We received over $8,000 in donations this year. So we have a recurring revenue stream to pay for the install, which basically would just mean procuring some dirt for the rollers and the berms, and possibly some pressure-treated materials for the other things. If you've ever been to Maple Swamp, you'll see some of our work, like there in West Barnstable, we have the Walker Lookout Point. In Sandwich, we have the Sam Nye Deck, which is a 12 by 14 platform. We have the pavilion that's at the parking lot. We don't ever plan on installing something and not taking care of it. We're always out taking care of the trails, taking care of anything that we build. And our biggest challenge is really just waiting on, permission to do things from the different conservation boards. So we would pay 100% of the cost to do it. We're not removing any trees. We're going around the trees inside the postage stamp property. And to make it fun and interesting, we would be procuring some materials, which is called hardener. It's basically a dirt. If you've ever seen some of the roads being built on Cape Cod, there's a company called Dirtworks that installs a lot of the roads on Cape Cod, and they have this material called hardener, and basically it packs down nice with a shovel, and that would make some small rollers and some berms to make it fun and playful. As far as signage, we're very open to what the school would like for signage. Obviously, it would be closed during the day, during school hours, so we don't want anybody there during school hours. It could say, use at your own risk. It could say, if lost, call 911, things of that nature. NEMBA does have a insurance policy, and Bill can discuss this, that covers any liability. If anyone is on a ride, or if anyone is building a trail or out on a trail and is injured, we have a $1 million liability policy that covers, accidents and injuries and things like that. The timeline, if approved, is we would flag a trail, which just means we wouldn't cut anything. We would just put flags in, take Chris out to show him the boundaries, and then most likely we would mow it over the winter just to get it laid out, and then install would be sometime in April of 2025. And that, in a nutshell, is the proposal. There's some great pictures of some of the things in a pump track. As far as a pump track itself, there is one in Hingham, Massachusetts at Wampatuck. There's one up in Billerica. There's a lot of them that, all over New England, and this would be something that's very, very unique to Cape Cod. If you look at the Sandwich Skate Park, that's basically a pump track for skateboarders. So this would be, I think, a great addition to all the great things at Oak Ridge, like the basketball court, the playground, some of the recent trails that have gone in over there.
So I can't visualize the space where this is going, but what I was thinking about, are there trees? I mean, I know kids wear helmets, but where would these obstacles be in proximation to trees? Because kids driving into trees.
Yeah, so we lay the trail out to go around the trees, and we're typically not, near anywhere 4 or 5 feet away from the trees. If there's a log in the ground, we remove that, so we don't take down any trees. If you've been to the one over in Maple Swamp, you'll see it sort of winds through the trees. And our goal is to try to keep the people off of the trees and the trees off of the people. And the features are very, very small, like the wooden bridges are very, very small, not high off the ground.
So it's a track where the kid isn't going to pick up a whole lot of speed.
Correct. It's done at a slower speed, and it's done with, if there is impact, it's typically on the ground, we're going to remove any stumps or anything that could, cause an impact. I've crashed many times myself mountain biking, and, it's inherently, walking into this building is dangerous, but we've actually, on our Sandwich Rec program, we've brought in some of these like little teeter-totters and little logs for the kids to get over. And those are portable, and we bring those in. So these would be a little bit more permanent. And the kids have a ball on them, and, sometimes they crash and fall down, and they get right up, unlike us old guys.
Any other questions, comments? Bert?
If the kid gets injured, it could get over $1 million. Does the school then assume this liability?
Well, I think it is a complex matter in the sense of, we hold riders, no pun intended, with regard to insurance, as does NEMBA. But I think it would also be based upon the situation, based upon negligence, and so on.
Do you have to notify your carrier that this is here?
Yes.
Well, then there is a liability.
It is on our property,
Yeah, then there is.
the town.
The town.
There is a liability. There is a liability.
But it's no different. I agree with you, Bert. But so are the playgrounds. So is the basketball court. So is anything currently existing as well.
Yeah, but they're part of the educational process. And I guess this is, you got a point there.
Sounds like fun.
I'll just say I'm a mountain bike rider, so truth in advertising. If you scroll back to the other, if you see the squiggly line, upwards of almost 2 years ago, I think we approved those trails.
Right.
If you drive into Oak Ridge, you probably won't even notice they're there. The signage is basically a 4x4 and with a vertical sign to be very unobtrusive, but if someone's looking for it, they can find it. And if you ride those, if you can walk those trails too, they're incredibly well done. They've been exceptionally well maintained. I think they keep their word when they say they're going to maintain it. And having ridden it right over Thanksgiving, I can tell you, one of the things we talked about back then, and I know this is a little separate from the pump track, but we said you can't see the school from those trails, even when all the leaves are gone, when it's just sticks. So they did a really nice job in doing that. So.
Go ahead, Tracy.
I love the idea and appreciate you bringing this here and having another opportunity that is outdoors, non-device related, like you said, teaching skills, all sorts of great things. So, thank you.
Thank you.
So, do we have to vote for this?
Yeah, you technically need a motion and a vote to approve as presented.
Are we prepared to do that? Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the, what should I call it? The development of the youth pump track at Oak Ridge School that we done by NEMBA in coordination with the School Facilities Department as presented.
Any discussion?
I'll just make a comment. The other part of this, beyond the school, I mean, they already have this partnership with the recreation department to do after-school mountain bike clubs, and this is going to probably attract more kids to do it, which is great. The other thing that's kind of outside our walls, this collective with other things in Maple Swamp and everything else is making Sandwich kind of a destination for people. If you go to Maple Swamp on a Sunday morning, you will, you know, if you looked at the car front windshields, you're probably going to see parking stickers from Boston. And then those people are having lunch somewhere in town and everything else. Over time, this becomes an economic driver for the community as well. It's beyond the scope of this little track, but I just thought I'd add that.
I just wanted to say thank you for presenting. I love that you're 100% financially stable and fully funded. You don't happen to do HVAC on the side, do you?
No, we stay away from that.
That's the comment of the night.
Thank you.
It might, in the signage, might put something, if people are coming as far away as Boston,
The coin drop.
donations to the upkeep can be sent to NEMBA. Anyway, are we ready to vote? All in favor? Aye. I see we are 6-0-0. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gents.
Look forward to inviting everybody to see it when we've built it.
I think you meant to say ride it, right? We'll bring some bikes for them.
That too.
All right.
I think collectively, we put in a outdoor basketball court at the high school. There's an outdoor court there. All these other things provide options and opportunities for our kids after school,
Absolutely.
which I think is fantastic. It's one of those things that make the town the community. And it's also, obviously, it wouldn't be here if Trish didn't support it, but the next thing that's going to come is she's going to want a bike rack for the kids that are going to bring their mountain bikes to school so they can do it at recess. But we'll worry about that when the time comes.
We did discuss that.
So this topic is a very good segue to our next topic, which is District Wellness Committee update. And our district, is it nurse director? Oh, okay, but you are this, okay, Nicole.
Who strongly believes that you should eat fruit and exercise, clearly.
Clearly, yes, become a
That
walking
cycling
animal.
is an excellent form of exercise.
So I was asked to do a very brief presentation, so I am gonna just breeze through this, but stop me with any questions that you might have. As we spoke at the end of last year, the Wellness Committee's goal for this year was to host a wellness event. And I attended a couple of them from other districts and grabbed ideas and then presented them at our first meeting, and we've had 2 meetings so far. I have 2 fantastic committee members who have been amazingly helpful with outreach. So if we, and I should first start out by saying a huge thank you to the Sandwich Foundation, who has granted us $1,000 to start the process of holding this event. So your wellness fair is being brought to you by the Sandwich Public Schools and the Sandwich Foundation. It's going to be held at the Sandwich Middle High School on March 13th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. I am not going to bore you with all the data. I think everybody here knows that kids who are not connected to their community, kids who are not involved, tend to have more challenges with mental health, challenges with belonging, and it's important to put into our kids a sense of community and belonging. So this goal, this fair, aims to let our kids, our students and their families know what is out there locally that they can get involved in and lead a healthy and happy life. As we've spoken about before, wellness isn't just your physical health. It is your mental health, your state of being. It's being involved in your community. It's having hobbies and passions and education. So we can go to the next slide. So we started this, like I said, one more, with, we've only had 2 meetings, and we have had to stop recruitment because we are sold out. I don't know what other term to use, but Chris just left, and I wanted to say, his guys reached out to me and said, Nicola, stop. We don't have any more tables to host all these people. So Unfortunately, we have reached our max, but that's okay, because this is the first year, and we're hoping that this gets a great turnout, and that becomes an annual or biannual event. So we currently have, we can keep moving forward, we currently have 53 committed participants, and they are, what would be a better term than sold out? Because we're not charging anyone anything to do this, but that's all I could think of, was we're out of tables.
At
Anybody else
capacity.
who wants to join can bring their own table, but I can't provide any more. So we're gonna have public health and fire and police and recycling, the extension, 4-H, Cape Cod Healthcare's coming, Boys Club, Girls Club, all of the people you would expect, and on our next page, maybe some you don't expect. We are gonna have information booths galore. We're having holistic health. We're having supportive organizations for non-traditional families. We are having dance organizations. Big Nick is gonna come. We're having mental illness, physical illness. We're having a little bit of everything. We even have the Shawm Animal Hospital on board. They're gonna come talk about keeping your animals healthy and the benefits to your life of having an animal in your home. We've got the Challenger Club coming, and Cape Cod 5, who already comes and talks to our juniors and seniors, I believe, about financial wellness. They're gonna come and just have information about, as a kid, where can you start on the path to financial health? I thought that was a great addition. And then on our next slide, we'll see we're gonna have some activities. And everyone, again, is doing this for free. We are gonna have karate demonstrations, jump rope demonstrations, grip strength testing, muscle mass evaluations, vertical jump testings, Pilates equipment, yoga sessions, mindfulness sessions, and food tasting. For the adults only, we are gonna have a cannabis education room. This is because, as we all know, cannabis is now legal here in Massachusetts, and it is out there. It's out there in all sorts of forms, and there are a lot of parents out there who are just not well informed. I have attended 4 of these, I actually assisted with one, but I attended 4 of these presentations in the past, and I may be biased because of my field, but I was stunned by the lack of knowledge among parents of teenagers and what's out there and what to look for. So this is gonna be an adults-only area in a classroom supervised by another nurse who is gonna make sure kids do not enter the room. The kids can be up doing all those other fun activities. So that's where we are, and what do we need now? On our next slide, you'll see we need sponsors. Oh, don't forget, as always, at any event, we're gonna have swag, which is what we need our sponsors for, and we're gonna have raffles. And we're hoping the more sponsors we have, the better it can be. So like I said, we're starting with $1,000. We are hoping to get more businesses and organizations and facilities that are local, and you don't have to be in the business of wellness to support wellness and support our youth living happy lives. If anybody is interested in donating raffle prizes or being a financial sponsor, reach out to me. I think everybody knows my name at this point, and my email's all over the school website. So I am happy to answer any questions or guide people in how they can sponsor us. And I hope that was quick enough.
That's one of the most coordinated slide and narration presentation I have.
Now, Tracy
Practice
has,
this ahead of time?
Nikki and I are just totally in tune with
We're
each
good.
other. That's what it's all about.
I mean, it was totally coordinated. It's, well,
Tracy has been present at all of our meetings, as has Dave. So Dave's the admin support, Tracy's your liaison from the school committee, so we've been well informed. We talked a lot about bringing in the cannabis education, at what level we wanted to do it, whether or not we thought it was appropriate. Everything else is just a given. It's all local things that our kids and their families can be involved in or benefit from.
I wish every presentation could be like that.
You're welcome. And you're more than welcome to read this in depth for the data if you'd like. Yes.
Is there a chance that the health educators will kind of use this opportunity to incentivize students and families to go and report out or do something with it or something, so it...
I am hoping so. So my plan is we did our recruitment. Now we're focusing on the financial piece. And when we all get back from Christmas break, we will begin the hard work of, a layout and trying to get the teachers and the administration and everybody else to help us promote and to encourage the kids to attend. That's part of the reason we want to have good swag, because let's be honest, what brings people out? Food and swag. So we have another restaurant who's also interested in doing some food tastings, and I'm working with them to see if it's an appropriate kind of thing. But Abbey Foods is going to handle foods, and so, hey, parents, come taste a school lunch and see what your kids are eating. But yes, I'm hoping to get some of the teachers to attend. Most of the nurses will be in attendance. I think a couple of the social workers have agreed to be there as well. It is tough. Like I said, it's all volunteer. It's all after hours. There's no payment involved in it. So
I was not saying so much that the teachers needed to be present, but that would be great if they could find the time, but that there would be some connection to this within classroom health classes or
that's a great
classrooms,
idea.
So they might get incentivized for
Like a homework
what they
assignment.
learned. Exactly.
Oh, I like.
Yep.
That's a good idea. I think I will reach out to them. Four Cs with the younger kids, health teachers. I am going to be reaching out to the I'm going to limit to the high school, I think, high school students for a couple of volunteers to help, participants set up and navigate things. So.
I absolutely love this, Nikki. I mean, kudos and congratulations to you and the committee for coming up with this concept. I will help you in any way, shape, or form that you guys need help with this. I see this is really a community event, but it also thinking about kind of that K through 12 coherent vision around wellness and the fact that we have, yes, the food and the swag, but engaging activities that really speak to what does wellness look like in our everyday lives. So I find this incredibly exciting, and kudos and congrats for this concept.
We did have a discussion at the very first meeting of whether this should be at the Cal or at one of the schools. And we ended up taking a vote and deciding on the school because that's where the kids are more familiar. Right now, the Cal is amazing, but there isn't too much, not a lot of the kids are super familiar with that building. So we figured so many things are held at the high school. Kids of all ages are comfortable there. They know where they're going. They know the gym. It just made sense for our first one to be there. And we might expand later, we'll see.
You probably have more elbow room at the middle high school as well, which is good, and I like it as well because it brings the youngsters to the high school, because someday they're
And
gonna
just
be there.
coincidentally, when I was working with Mimi Shorten to pick a day that the school would be empty, the only competition we have is KTC rehearsals, so we're just gonna kind of loop them in like, hey, drama, performing arts, another way to be healthy. Check them out.
And the parking is better up there, too.
That's true.
Thank you so much, and to your committee and all the participants. It's going to be fun.
Thank you. I hope you will all come.
You ought to come to what is that thing we did at the end of November? The Massachusetts Association of School Committees? Teach them how to make a presentation that gets to the point.
You could get on the committee, the planning committee for the next year's, okay. Subcommittee reports. Finance Subcommittee, Mr. Sorrell.
Well, after this meeting, when we come back in January, it's budget season, so welcome to that. We also had a meeting at our last meeting prior to that, where we talked, and there's more work to be done, taking a look at what we charge for student activity fees, student sport fees, as compared to what the athletics budget costs us. And do they have, like many things, what we charge for participation has not changed in about 10, 15 years. Obviously, things have gone up. Do we need to raise that? How do we do it? And how do we benchmark against some other communities? And do we create some type of tier system? Obviously, hockey, football cost a little bit more than some other sports, than say track. But no answers yet, but that's something we'll look at, and eventually it'll come to the full committee. But the one thing we can provide, and when that time comes, that athletics budget does a presentation, you'll see, how much do fees, gate receipts, and things like that fund the program, and how much comes out of the operational budget. I think that's just an important thing for us to know. So that's all I got.
Do you want to say anything about the tri-board meeting?
Oh, yeah, well, we were all there at the tri-board. Well, most of us were, sorry. So we did have the tri-board. There's more unknowns than knowns because we still haven't got a lot of guidance and what to expect. But we are probably going to, we did discuss, and fill in some gaps for me, we did talk about, obviously, the infrastructure needs, specifically, we provided some clarity on the warrant Article 1 for the special town meeting that's going to be in January, to provide some clarity to the FinCom on that one. And also kind of thinking longer term, the town manager is going to seek out some bids for a company to come in and do an evaluation of all town buildings. I guess I'll use the phrase older town buildings, not necessarily the Cal, it's brand new. But, what are the needs of the existing town buildings that have not already been addressed in recent history, including our school buildings? And we looked at that not just from, we've already dealing with the roofs and HVAC and all that kind of stuff, but also, what do these new buildings need to be in the future? Because the chemistry lab that was built in 1976 is not necessarily going to meet the needs of the student of 2035. So that's a process. That's in works, and I'm sure we'll hear more from the town on that as they move forward with it. And we'll do that in partnership. Did I miss anything?
No, that covers it.
Any other comments about that? Okay. Moving along to Superintendent's Evaluation Subcommittee. Danielle.
Sure. So the Superintendent Evaluation Subcommittee met tonight at 5. It was Bert, myself, and Christine joined by phone. She couldn't make it. We reviewed the process similar as last year, same as last year. Dr. Marushak went over the mid-cycle goals review today, and we're evaluating the progress on where we stand on these goals so far. So we'll continue with our timeline. So the portfolio will be completed probably by April 9th, and we're going to do our summative evaluations again, completed by April 20th, and we'll report at the school committee meeting April 23rd, 2025. So it will be with our existing school committee before the elections.
Thank you very much to the Evaluation Subcommittee. Let's see, Liaison Advisory Committee. I will just say that it's a challenge representing this committee on the Cape Cod Collaborative Board. For example, their meetings often coincide with ours. But I did attend a meeting in early November. There is a new executive director coming on board, and I'm blocking her name, but she's the former assistant superintendent of Mashpee.
Dr. Hope Hanscom.
Thank you, Dr. Hope Hanscom. Very highly qualified and energetic, and looking forward to the new role. So that's about all I have to report on that. Anything else? Warrants. Can I have a motion to approve the warrants?
I move that we approve the warrants as presented and assigned by a majority of the school committee.
Second.
Second by Danielle. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the warrants?
Aye.
What are we, 5 and 1? Any voting opposed? Any abstentions? So abstention? 5, 0, 1. Okay, they are approved. And we come to this second public forum. Anybody wish to be heard at public forum? I don't see anyone. We will close the public forum. Future agenda items.
I just got one, and I'm going to be the reason we go over past 7 o'clock. I apologize. It's 6:59. On the mask listserv today, there was it kind of exploded with a bunch of chatter about now that whatever proposition it was that removed MCAS as a graduation requirement, what are individual districts doing to how are they setting their graduation requirements? I know some things are in the handbook, but I'd like to have a bit more of a detailed discussion as to what truly what the standards and the requirements are.
Sure.
I think that'd be good, one, for us to know, but two, for the community to know.
Do we have any timeline when DESI will come down with guidelines about that?
It seems like they're very much slow rolling that. And
Shocked.
I think I was having a conversation with Kevin earlier. There is this huge split across the Commonwealth. There's actually some communities that are going down the road of internally, as their school committee, making the decision of having MCAS proficiency as a graduation requirement. Kind of de facto at the local level reversing the statewide results on question number 2. I won't be proposing that anytime soon to the Sandwich School Committee. But I think to your point, kind of doing a deeper dive into the Mass Core, as I brought it up, I believe, a couple meetings ago, and how exactly Sandwich High School's program of studies falls in line with that, and so on, would be a great exercise.
Yeah, there's no agenda from my standpoint, other than getting a little bit smarter on it, so I fully understand it, and it's transparent to everybody in the community.
And then that would be reflected in a policy change.
Yeah, we do have to make the change to our policy manual with regard to MCAS.
Well, crisis and opportunity. I think that this is an opportunity for us to really dive into what, as a community, as a district, we feel is essential material, content, skills for our students to have. So I think this is a good thing. That's just my personal view. So look forward to the discussion. Acknowledgements, closing remarks.
I just have one acknowledgement. I just wanted to wish Dr. Marushak a happy birthday today. I was trying to find the video of you singing karaoke to play over the loudspeaker, but I couldn't find it in time, so.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. 13 years as superintendent, first time school committee. How lucky are all if we fell on December 11th, huh?
And there's no cake for you. Two quick ones. I did want to publicly, thank you to Nicola for the wellness, everything there. Thank you to the number of folks for all that they do, because you heard him say it, it's all volunteers that do that, and they're providing something to our community and our kids for zero. If we could only find an HVAC company like that. And lastly, just an acknowledgement to thank our athletic director, Sean Donovan, did a really nice job with the winter sports night for students and parents. The season starts this weekend, and looking forward to a fun winter season. So thank you.
And I just want to put a plug out for the newsletters that come across from each of the 3 schools. They are really awesome. And I don't know how many folks in the community take a look at those, but the stuff that's going on in our 3 buildings is amazing. Our teachers and staff are amazing, and our kids are really engaged, it seems to me. So
Blue Night Highlights gets about 4,000 views per week.
It's wonderful. Anything else?
I'm just going to acknowledge the chair for finishing this meeting at 7:04.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, ma'am, you can. I motion that we adjourn to our next scheduled business meeting of January 8th, 2025 at 6 p.m. right here at Old Town Hall.
And I will just add that everyone have a healthy and joyous holiday season and a happy new year.
Thank you.
All in favor of adjourning?
Need a second first.
I'll second all of that, Sue.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Good evening. We are adjourned.